This is XFM News.
Good evening, I'm Daniel Monroy. It's humid with decreasing clouds and with risk of thunderstorm at night. Right now it's 28 degrees. A decade-long fraud at one of Ontario's largest hospitals has led to a multi-millionaire lawsuit and some police investigation.
London Health and Sciences Centre allegedly is taking legal action after uncovering a long-running fraud scheme within its facilities management operations. A forensic audit revealed millions of dollars in inflated construction contracts between 2013 and 2024, some which were awarded to businesses linked to a former executive. Two separate lawsuits have been filed. One seeks $50 million in damages from former VP Dipesh Patel and others, and the second for $10 million targets ex-CEO Dr. Jackie Shelfer-Taylor and two former executives for failing to act on the warning signs. In a letter to the community, supervisor at LHSC David Musage said that this is not the culture we stand for, and we're working to ensure it never happens again.
The hospital says it's strengthening oversight and accountability measures as it works to rebuild public trust. The wildfire threat is worsening in North Manitoba, prompting more alerts and evacuations. Steve Lambert expands on this.
Dry conditions and strong winds are adding to the fire threat. Garden Hill First Nation, a fly-in community, is being evacuated, and the federal government says armed forces personnel are helping out. The town of Snow Lake, population 1,000, is under a mandatory evacuation order for the second time this year. Mayor Ron Scott says people are able to drive out, but the dry and windy conditions are making for a long wildfire season. Steve Lambert, The Canadian Press, Winnipeg.
A new report from a New York-based think tank questions the drug trafficking rationale from U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs on Canada. Kelly Malone has the story.
The Manhattan Institute analyzed newly released data on fentanyl seizures made in the 50 U.S. states and Washington, D.C. It says the data shows the vast majority of fentanyl seizures in the United States are linked to the southern border. About 99% of pills and 97% of powder were found along the border with Mexico. And large fentanyl seizures along the Canadian border were relatively rare. Trump declared a national emergency at the northern border over fentanyl trafficking in order to hit Canada with economy-wide tariffs in March. He paused tariffs on imports compliant with the Canada-US-Mexico Agreement on Trade a few days later. Kelly Malone, The Canadian Press, Washington.
There was a vehicle in fire after a multi-vehicle collision in London. Only minor injuries were reported after a three-vehicle crash that closed Bradley Avenue between Wellington and Jalna. According to London Fire, one vehicle was in flames when crews arrived on scene. All occupants were safe. The vehicle company Ford has issued a recall of thousands of vehicles which could stall and cause a crash. Chuck Stiverson has more.
Ford is recalling up to about 850,000 vehicles because a low-pressure fuel pump failure can lead to an engine stall, and that can increase the risk of a crash. Ford says the affected vehicles may show warning signs such as engine misfiring or running rough, a check engine light coming on, or reduced engine power. The 2021 to 23 models recalled include Ford Expeditions, Mustangs, Explorers, Broncos, Lincoln Navigators, and F-150 and 250 trucks.
In sports, in the MLB, the Toronto Blue Jays lost 2-1 versus the Chicago White Sox yesterday, and the Jays' next game is tomorrow versus the Athletics at 10 p.m. The Detroit Tigers lost against the Tampa Bay Rays yesterday for a score of 7-3, and the Tigers' next game is tomorrow versus the Mariners at 7 p.m. In the Club World Cup, Chelsea advanced to the finals after beating Fluminense on Tuesday, and yesterday Paris Saint-Germain blanked Real Madrid in the semifinals. So the finals will be Chelsea versus Paris on Sunday at 3 p.m., and the London Majors are facing the Kitchener Panthers tomorrow at 7 p.m. XFM traffic. York Street is closed from Richmond Street to Wellington Street for repairs. Lane restrictions remain in place along the Adelaide Street Bridge from King Street to Horton Street East for construction. If you have a traffic or news tip, call 519-455-NEWS. That's 455-6397. Your Environment Canada forecast. Today will be cloudy with chance of showers this afternoon and risk of thunderstorm at night. Tomorrow is going to be mainly sunny with a high of 29, and on Saturday will be a mix of sun and clouds and a high of 31. Right now it's 28 degrees. Find more news online anytime at 1069dx.com.